Am I overreacting for losing my cool at my dad and sister after my dad yet again failed to give me his attention and my sister stole the attention off me? I, 21F, know the above sounds a little spoiled, but please read my full story before commenting. All my life, I have felt second to my two younger sisters. My middle sister is no longer with us, as she has excommunicated from us for being abusive, when really, she just didn't want to do chores or follow rules like me and my younger sister. My two younger sisters have always been a little difficult. My middle sister and I especially never got along, as she was treated as the second coming to Christ, due to her sharing her love for machinery and operation of heavy vehicles. I will give my father credit where it's due when he realized my middle sister was going down a dark path that would either hurt someone or get any of us killed. He backed away from her and stopped taking her calls, especially after she gave my workplace address to my abusive uncle and cousin, whom we are no longer in contact with. My youngest sister, 14, has a habit of victimizing herself. I have it harder than you. And victim blaming others. It's your fault I got angry. And when you try to get the parent involved for help, she gaslights you. Oh, that didn't happen. You're telling it wrong. I didn't say it like that. If the spotlight isn't on her, then she makes sure it's on her, even if it means throwing a tantrum. I came back from a trip to Tokyo, Japan last week. I went alone for an entire week and took lots of photos and videos. While I was away, my mom told me my dad was especially worried. Despite our already shaky relationship, I thought maybe now he and I could start to smooth things out and repair the damage he'd done favoring my middle sister. Things were great. I was happy talking to my dad on the phone about my adventures and couldn't wait to show the photos and videos. I purposefully held back sending them photos while I was in Japan, as I wanted to sit together as a family, then would post the photos to Facebook for outer family and friends. For once, I felt like my dad's daughter instead of the outsider. Please note, my dad and I are not biologically related. My bio dad died before I was born, so my dad stepped in to take care of me from birth to now. And while our relationship was good from age 0 to 10, our relationship changed after I found out about my bio dad. I admittedly grew cold and distant, but I never told him he wasn't my dad or anything of the like. I just needed time to process the new information. My world literally crashed around me at that time. I don't know what changed, but it was like something just clicked. And when my middle sister was old enough to start walking and talking, Dad immediately crowned her the golden child, and mostly ignored me, which only broke our relationship further as to me. It seemed like he didn't see me as his daughter now that I knew the truth, as if a burden had been lifted off of him. Like, phew, I don't have to pretend to care anymore. Maybe that's not what went through his mind, but when he started ignoring me, it just hurt my 13-year-old self so badly that I just kind of distanced myself further. And it was like this for years until my middle sister left. Anyway, I purposefully held off sending photos, as I didn't want any being posted anywhere, and I wanted to show my inner family all together, originally planning a sideshow. But after I got home, Dad didn't get home until late the first 2 nights I was home. Not once did my little sister ask to see the photos. Not once did my dad ask me about my trip. Not a text or phone call during the day. Neither asked me about the photos or the trip itself. So I sat with Mom first, showed the photos and videos to her, and asked if she thought Dad would be back on time that night. She shared that she believed he'd be working late again, so I just made the decision to post them, so he could see them when he wasn't busy, and we could talk about the trip come Sunday. But no, I got busy for the rest of the week with unpacking and making space in my room for the stuff I'd brought back from Japan, so I didn't have much time for anything else the rest of the week. Saturday night rolled around and Dad got home early, about 6 p.m. I thought thus was a good chance to show him and little sis the photos. Not only could little sis not be bothered to sit down and look through the photos with us, she started actively distracting Dad. Mom tried to tell her to stop, as I was sharing my trip with them, but I don't know if she just didn't hear or didn't care. Little sis kept tugging at Dad, trying to get him to talk to her, to play with her while I was showing the photos. Then Dad got on his phone, so I just kind of sat there quietly asking myself, is this really worth it? Are either of them even paying attention? Then he hits me with a bombshell. Remember the photos I posted Wednesday night? Turns out my dad didn't even know I posted them. He said out loud, "Oh look, you posted your photos." He then kind of froze as he realized what he'd said. His expression turned to one of, "Oh shit," and I just had enough. Between his blatant ignorance to my trying to share my trip, and my lil sis trying to actively keep his attention, plus the stress of returning to work from annual leave, I just had enough. I stood up and told them to get the photos off of Facebook and to go fuck themselves. I hadn't posted all of my photos and videos on Facebook, just a small chunk, so they'd be missing quite a few things. But I didn't care. When Mum snapped at Lil Sis and Dad that she'd told them to stop, Lil Sis kept repeating over and over, "He was watching, he was watching," and Dad just said, "I was watching, come back here." I told them again to go fuck themselves. After I had put my camera away and went to pack the dishwasher, Lil Sis cornered me behind the kitchen aisle, forcing me to talk to her, but I was in no mood. I told her she needed to get out of my face, and she just said, condescendingly, "I'm not in your face, and I'm not having an attitude with you, so don't have an attitude with me." I said to my parents they needed to get her away from me, and before Mum could get up, Lil Sis stepped up to me, getting in my face, repeating once again, "He was watching. Don't be so overdramatic." I just wanted to get away from there and go to my room where I could venture my frustrations, and she was actively keeping me there. So I shiver her back, not hard, just enough that I could get past her, only for her to step right back where she was and start screaming that she'd had it harder than me. That unlike her, I'd gotten to go off to do some bug fancy trip, while she was having a hard time with a girl I knew she'd started problems with herself. My lil sis is a bully, but can't take it when it's dished back at her. That was when Mum separated us. While Mum was trying to get her to stop, she just repeated over and over, "He was watching. He was watching. She needs to not be so sensitive." My mum had to shout stop, and told Sis that she was told to stop as I had been trying to share my trip with them. Then Mum turned on me, telling me to keep my hands off of her. I just had enough. I packed the dishwasher, put headphones in, and stayed in my room. Dad has tried to ask to see the photos, but as far as I'm concerned, he can see what's available on Facebook with everyone else, since he wasn't all that interested to sit and look with me. So Reddit, am I overreacting? Give it to me straight.